Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Box Office Talk. This is the show where I break down what happened at the box office, see if my predictions for the top 5 are correct, and then make predictions for next week's top 5. So let's get right on into it. Last week I predicted that number 1 would be Boo 2, A Madea Halloween. Number 2 would be Geostorm. Number 3 would be The Snowman. Number 4 would be Happy Death Day. And number 5 would be Only the Brave. And this weekend I actually did okay with my predictions. I got 3 out of 5 correct, which is not too bad, especially since the last few weeks I haven't been doing too good. So let's go over what happened. Number 1 was, of course, Boo 2, A Madea Halloween. This was obviously kind of expected because the first Boo movie actually did pretty well, opening with 28. This movie, however, did have a little bit of a drop in comparison to the first movie. It opened with $21 million, but this is still not bad for the film because the budget was only $25 million, so it only needs to get to around $50 million to be considered a success, and since it's almost past its initial production budget already, it's going to be doing fine, especially when you look at the success of the first movie. Like, it got a sequel for a reason, so it will drive in more people in the next coming weeks, so that's definitely for sure. Whether we get a Boo 3 out of this, I'm not sure yet, but since the first movie also got really trashed by critics and this movie's doing the same, yet they're both financial successes, yeah, I'd say maybe we could get a Boo 3 out of this. Whether that movie does well or not, I'm not sure, but Boo 2, hey, congrats Tyler Perry, even though your movie apparently doesn't look like it was filmed with $25 million if the double toasted crew is correct. Moving on to number 2, which is Geostorm, which has been in distribution hell, I guess. I think this movie's been completed for a while, but it took a long time for them to release it. Something like that. This movie's been trying to get released for a while, and it's finally here, but it only opened with around $13 million on its opening weekend. Now, worldwide, it actually had a pretty decent opening, I guess, with $62 million, and this is only on a budget of 120, so it needs to get to 240 altogether to be considered a success. With this worldwide opening of 62 million, I'd say maybe, because you will have a continued US gross in the next coming weeks. It won't be too big, but it'll at least contribute to that, so maybe the worldwide numbers will go up as well. Usually disaster movies will get somewhat of good money out of their box office runs. I'm not sure if Geostorm is going to be able to make it past the $240 million margin, but so far it looks possible. Number 3 is Happy Death Day, continuing to do pretty well for itself, which is obvious because it's a Blumhouse movie, but it made $9 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $40 million, and on the worldwide chart, it is sitting at $53 million, which is obviously over its budget of $4.8 million, so this movie's a success. It was already a success on its opening weekend. It was pretty much a success on its opening day. It's opening Friday, October 13th, so I really don't have much to add. I thought it was a mediocre, kind of okay movie. I'm surprised that some people are actually saying like, oh, you know what, that was pretty fun. I'm not surprised that people are saying that. I'm just surprised that people are actually saying like, it's, good. Like, I just thought it was kind of passable, but, more power to the people who do enjoy it. Maybe people are enjoying it so much that they're going back, or maybe they're telling their friends to go see it, and maybe this movie will actually last pretty strongly next weekend, and maybe even some in November when Halloween is passing by. I'm not sure yet. But moving on to number 4, which is Blade Runner 2049, still kicking in the top 5. I'm sort of happy about this, but I just wish the numbers were a little bit bigger. It made $7 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $74 million. Now, worldwide, it is sitting at $194 million. It still needs to get to about 156 to get to $300 million, which is the doubling point of its $150 million budget. Worldwide, I've mentioned this before, I believe, that Japan and China still have release dates for October 27th. So, depending on if this movie does well over there next weekend, we might be seeing the worldwide numbers grow a lot for Blade Runner 2049, and I hope so. I don't want this movie to be considered a flop. I want this movie to go down as it made enough money to be considered a success and people love it kind of thing. I was hoping that this movie would do gangbusters, but that ship has sailed, so I'm just hoping for a moderate success at this point. Number 5 is Only the Brave, making $6 million this weekend, which is on a budget of $38 million. Now, this isn't very good. There isn't any worldwide numbers added yet, and they need to get to $76 million to be considered a success, when so far not doing too well. This kind of reminds me of the movie that came out 2015 called Everest that didn't have that strong of an opening but had a pretty large budget. So we might be looking at another Everest on our hands. That the movie, from what I've been hearing, is pretty good, just the numbers didn't really go for its favor. Number 6 is The Foreigner, which domestically the numbers aren't too good. It made $5 million this weekend, which adds to a domestic total of 22, but worldwide-wise it has a total of $111 million right now. I already explained why this is last weekend, mainly because of China, because Jackie Chan is in the movie, and considering that the budget, in order to be considered a success, it needed to get to $70 million, making $41 million over that. That's pretty good for this movie. Number 7 is It, making $3.5 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $320 million, and on the worldwide chart it is sitting at $651 million. It is so close from getting to $666 million. I know this is kind of silly, and I'm really only bringing this up because what else can I really say about it at this point? It's a financial success. I mean, what else do you want from me? But I'm just the funny thing. It's almost at $666 million. That's amazing to me. But let's move on to number 8, a true travesty that has happened this weekend. The Snowman. Now, the reviews at first weren't very good, and when the movie officially came out, the reviews got even worse. I believe it's under 10% on Rotten Tomatoes right now, which is probably why it didn't open at number 3 like I predicted, but it did open with $3.4 million this weekend. Now, worldwide, it actually did have an opening of $22 million, which is okay because the budget is $35 million. I'm not sure how many people are going to go continue to see this movie, especially because domestically it bombed, but worldwide I'm not sure how many other people will want to go see it and get the movie to the 70 million margin, because from what I've been hearing, it's a complete cluster of a film. So, and I'm sure we're not going to see it here next weekend either. So let's move on to number 9, which is American Made. I believe it's its last time here, making $3.1 million, adding to a domestic total of $45 million. And on the worldwide chart, it is sitting at $121 million. I wish the movie did better domestically, like, Doug Liman's Edge of Tomorrow domestically didn't do too well. But worldwide, similar to Edge of Tomorrow, it actually did very well, and I'm very happy for this film. Let's close it off with number 10, Kingsman: The Golden Circle, making $3 million, adding to a domestic total of $94 million. Oh, it couldn't get to $100 million before it left the top 10. That's kind of a bummer for fans of this movie, but for me, I'm not too bummed by it. I mean, it made enough money worldwide to double its $104 million budget. Worldwide, it is sitting at $344 million. But I'm sure there are fans that are bummed it didn't get to $100 million domestically like the first movie did. I believe the first movie domestically made it to about $100 million. I'm kind of happy by this because I thought this movie was disappointing, and since they are making a third one, I hope maybe Matthew Vaughn learns that, hey, maybe I shouldn't cram so much stuff into the sequel and actually tell a unique, clever story like I did the first movie. And maybe he'll make more money with Kingsman 3 whenever that comes in theaters. But now it's time for the fun part, the predictions for next week's top 5. Now, obviously, I think number 1 will be Jigsaw. Like, that's kind of obvious. But then I'm going to say number 2, I think will be Suburbicon. I think that might have some people intrigued. Then number 3, clinging on for dear life, I think Boo 2 and Medea Halloween. Number 4, Thank You for Your Service. And number 5, Geostorm. But what are your predictions for next week's top 5? Leave it in the comments below. And if you got your predictions right for this week, you're going to get a shout out right now. Unless you didn't get it right, then I'm sorry. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe. I'm Jackson Fulcher. See you guys next time.